really nice. Paul and Patrick aren't here. Well, I can do the job. Of course I can. I see. Well, hi everybody. I'm Sven Dürr, and I'm doing the podcast today.
Welcome to podcast number 4 of 2010, again here in our wonderful home in Orlando, Florida, and you'll see we have a special guest with us, Ian Holloway. We'll talk about Ian a little bit later, but first,
cheers everybody.
Cheers. They've got Noon, a drink from the PGA Show, which we'll be telling you about later. I've got my Ledbetter coffee. Chris gave me a wonderful mug because he's such a slimer. And that's very kind of him, so he's got a gold star this week, so great, excellent. And packed show because we've got an interview, so let's get going. Pat on the tour.
Well, first of all, he didn't actually think he was going to get away with this, did he? So we tied him up this time. He's not going to push us in again.
Yeah, pushing us in the pool was well out of order, so especially if you're a trainee golf teacher and you push your boss in the pool, that's what you get. What is going on the tour, Pat?
On the tour, USPGA, quite boring again. You need to watch European Tour. Imada's leading in America, and Glover's up there again.
Lucas who?
Yeah. Since we've mentioned him, somehow he's doing really well. Then in Europe, Carlson won.
Carlson won, yeah.
Glad to see Westwood up there. Brett Rumford, the bunker specialist, is up there too.
I'm sure we might mention Brett a bit later.
They tied third, and Quiros was second. Good tournament again.
Good tournament, yeah.
Excellent. And next week Desert Classic, so that's going to be good.
Excellent, yeah. And Carlson? What about Carlson?
Yeah, Carlson.
We were talking about him earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, he's won 9 times on European Tour, and nobody really thinks of him as that good.
Yeah,
do they?
and we said actually earlier he's actually won more than people like Darren Clark and so forth. And he seems to be, because he's a Swede maybe, and he's cool blonde and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
could be. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, he's won the Order of Merit too.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, and won in Germany as well, which is sort of interesting. Right.
What's
okay.
he laughing
Excellent.
about?
I don't know. He's just pleased to be here, isn't he? Cheers, Ian.
Cheers.
We've got some Noon, which is an active hydration drink, which you can be dead sure we'll be selling on our website soon. Pardon?
Lucas Glover drinks it, doesn't he?
Lucas Glover drinks it as well. Amazing. Excellent. So that's good.
Lucas should be sponsoring us.
One thing I do want to talk about is Patrick's hair, which since we've come to America has taken on American proportions. He's really immersed himself in the American lifestyle, particularly with that hair. And hopefully we've got an interview with someone who's got hair like that next week as well, so we'll find out about that. So that would be good. We were at the PGA Show this week, weren't we? Went to the PGA Show, the biggest golf show. We've got a few things which I think you might find interesting. The most interesting thing, you can now buy golf drugs. You can. You take these pills, and there's a whole lot of rubbish that's in them, but you can take these pills, and it's a 4-day system for concentration, performance, and recovery. So, we're actually not into doping, actually. So, but I know Pat does like the things like that, so I'll give those to Patrick. We did see a whole lot of things. Got some information on nutrition, which is going to be good. Some great stuff. Children's practice things, which we're going to be introducing in Timdorf. That's going to be really interesting. And 1 or 2 bits and pieces. Some teaching aids that we're going to be using in our academies. Plus, we've got the inside down the line putting track, which I think is very interesting. And there's at the PGA Show there were I don't know how many stands or booths as they call them over here. Load of stuff to look at, more than you can really take in. So we're hopefully going to talk a little bit about that later. But talking about the inside down the line, we're going to welcome our guest Ian Holloway. Ian comes from the Short Game Revolution, and we mentioned him last week. Ian's a short game expert, and Short Game Revolution. Why Revolution, Ian?
Well, I mean, for so long people have talked so much about long game. So much has been written and DVDs on the program as well, but nothing on the short game. So I think revolutionising it, speaking about it, mentioning it's not just about the technique of it. It's about taking it to the golf course and and practicing how you're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, when you said that about the books and videos, I mean, I must have hundreds of books at home on the long game, and I've probably got 3 or 4, possibly 5 on the short game. You know, if you try to make a list of short game videos, you can actually think of about 3 or 4. Other than mine, obviously, which is awesome.
Yeah, there's only a few guys on tour who are pretty renowned for it. I mean, you've got Dave Stockton, who's probably the most famous person at the moment, working with a few guys, Phil Mickelson, and then you've got Stan Utley and Dave Pell. So apart from that, there's not really much out there.
Right, yeah, and then in the long game, there's just a plethora of, everybody's got a book and a DVD about slots and swings and moves and all that sort of thing. So what's the revolution part? I mean, why revolution?
The revolution side of it is we're trying to make the game simpler. So we teach average golfers how to play better on the golf course. So what we do is we pick a method and trying to create one swing or one setup and just change the length of swings and the club they use to dictate how far the ball's going to fly and the
yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot, you know, that people think there's a chipping method and a pitching method and a bunker method.
But how confusing is that?
Well,
the
exactly,
average golfer, I mean, ball back, hands way forward, and then pitch, ball in the middle, stance, who knows where it is, stance open. I mean, you've got so many swing thoughts before you've even hit a shot.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's, I often get asked, shall I chip it or pitch it? You know, I say, well, what do you think? You know, so, well, shall I use my chip and they go ahead and put the club way forward? We were actually talking that in our podcast last week about, you know, why you shouldn't have the hands forward, or then they go and do a lob and they're stood open and they've got the face open and all this sort of thing, and it just seems so complicated. And what you said about simple actually seems to be hitting the head and the nail on the head.
Keeping everything as constant as possible and just changing the loft you're using and the length of swing. I think that's really important.
And so this short game revolution, is it a revolution? I mean, is it you know, can you join? Can you be a revolutionary? You know,
you can, yeah. Funnily enough, I mean, we've got a website, shortgamerevolution.com.
Have we? Awesome.
There is,
great.
yeah, and I think Facebook, we're on that as well.
Well, who isn't these days,
so
really? Yeah,
that's a good way, and keep up to date with us on Twitter as well.
Okay.
So
okay.
we might be putting a few videos on YouTube too.
So we can go on shortgamerevolution.com and look at it. We can go on Facebook, Twitter, as we do,
yeah.
and check out all that stuff.
That's
and,
right.
and I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming,
good.
Ian. It's been great having you. We'll please go ahead and check out shortgamerevolution.com, mainly because I'm on it as well. So that should be interesting. And this is our second podcast from Florida. We'll be back next week with a couple more interviews. It should be really interesting, Pat. Pat's hair will be back as well, probably a lot bigger.
Hopefully. The interview is going to be awesome, I think. We've got Dr. Bob.
Yeah, that should be interesting with Dr. Bob, little interview, and so tune in next week, and we'll see you next time. And until then, cheers and happy golfing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.